go selling our people's property. Don't know who doing it, so don't round me out. Don't send no police round me and tell me shush my mouth. Where's our conviction? But where's our pride? We selling everything, selling our backside. Just go online, it'll make you sick. You can buy any island, just point and click. See, they're selling our country, yes, they're selling our land. They're selling our archipelago of sea and sand. Now break down the acronym like you in class. Oh, they're selling the whole country. Ooh, they're selling aha. Hey, hey. Ride him. My mother always say, when you find a donkey, ride it. Who's the donkey? Huh? Come on. We got a whole nation in 73. Now we getting back the whole country. What kind of fools we must be, selling out for a bag of rice and a cup of tea. You know what does bug me? Help me understand. I can't find piece of property for under 80 grand, but I can fix this. I know what to do. I can squat just like them other people try make me do. See, they're selling our country, yes, they're selling our land. They're selling our archipelago of sea and sand. Now break down the acronym like you in class. Oh, they're selling the whole country. Ooh, they're selling aha. They're selling our country. They're selling our land. They're selling our archipelago of sea and sand. Now break down the acronym like you in class. Oh, they're selling the whole country. Ooh, they're selling aha. I get everybody sells some every time. They're selling one island, give away one key. What can be left for you and me? Is this the example? What's our kids to do? You want them have a sense of pride, or go selling too? Cause they're selling our country, yes, they're selling our land. They're selling our archipelago of sea and sand. Now break down the acronym like you in class. Oh, they're selling the whole country. Ooh, they're selling aha. They're selling our country, yes, they're selling our land. They're selling our archipelago of sea and sand. Now break down the acronym like you in class. Oh, they're selling our whole country. Ooh, they're selling aha. They're selling our country, yes man. They're selling our land. They're selling our archipelago of sea and sand. Now break down the acronym like you in class. Oh, they're selling our whole country. Ooh, they're selling aha. They're selling our country, yes, they're selling our land. They're selling our archipelago of sea and sand. Now break down the acronym like you in class. Oh, they're selling the whole country. Ooh, they're selling aha.
Whoa, girls, we out doing it.
Don't ever believe that a politician is a leader. Don't ever believe that. Because the system that we have produces politicians. It doesn't produce leaders. And so you can have a politician who knows nothing about leadership and he's leading you. Politicians are concerned about the next election. That's all they're interested in. That's why they cannot be leaders. But leaders are different. Leaders are concerned about the next generation. I want you to compare those two thoughts the next time you have a politician come to your house wanting to vie for your vote. Just ask him, what is your vision for my children? I will sit and listen for 20 minutes for you to tell me what it is. He will leave your house because he has no interest in your children's children. His concern is to stay in power, to keep the position, to win the next election. This is why they cannot lead. When you are going to have a conversation with a politician, you should actually try this as a test. You, by the way, as a citizen of a community, you have a right to be seen by the mayor. Hope you know that. If you voted for a mayor, the mayor works for you. Therefore, you have a right to see him. You can make an appointment to see any public officer you voted for. Did you know that? That's your legal right. If he don't want to see you, you can take him to court. That's democracy. So I want you to make an appointment to go and see your mayor or go and see your governor and just sit and say, I want 30 minutes with you, sir. And ask him about that list right there. Sir, what is your purpose for being in leadership in this city? What is your purpose? The first question will make him very nervous. Second question, what is your passion for our community? He'll be wondering what you're talking about. What are you talking about? I just want to build roads and bridges and provide jobs. No. What is your passion? And this is why we need to question the leaders we have. And so I have a little thought here. I call it politics versus leadership. Let's talk about it for a second. Number one, politicians focus on programs, not vision. Number two, politicians' priority is securing the next election, not securing the next generation. Their focus is different. Number three, politicians are preoccupied with promises, not purpose. What we need is statesmen. Stateswomen. We don't need more politicians. A statesman is an interesting human. A statesman thinks of the next generation.
Data live forever.
Good afternoon, Bahamas, and welcome. It is so good to have all of you here. It is always a pleasure to spend my Tuesday evenings with you. You know what to do when you get on here. Remember, most of our people notifications, don't know that we're on. And so you know what to do. Please share, tag some persons right here. in the chat, and they'll see it even faster. And so make sure to share this, go in your WhatsApp groups and share, and make sure that people know that we are live. Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to have an interesting conversation today because our country is rudderlessly heading in the wrong direction. We are being led by non-compass mentis. That means persons without any direction. They don't know where we're going. On a daily basis, they're just trying to see how much money they can get from the coffers and how much of their people they can get contracts to. But we need a new direction in this country to where we're not dependent on debt, but we are dependent on our natural resources. That's the thing that God gave to us as a value. And so we are moving in that direction. We're taking you into the new Bahamas where we won't be dependent on taxes anymore. We're going to have a conversation about that. We're going to have a conversation about procurement. We're going to have a conversation about the National Insurance Board. We got some documents that we're going to show you what was really going on with national insurance. So this new talk of them running out of money, it's really flabbergasted to me. We're going to talk about VAT and what happened with VAT and our freedom of information. We still don't know anything about anything because we keep settling for nothing. And so, ladies and gentlemen, thank you all for joining from wherever you are. I'm going to get straight to it. Make sure you tag some of your friends. If you see they are not on here, tag them and make sure you get them in here. And make sure you share this in some of your WhatsApp groups, your family WhatsApp groups, etc., etc. All right. So, good evening to all of you, and thank you for joining us. And so, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to have a conversation today with a very interesting young man, and he has been appointed the Shadow Minister of Finance. We're going to talk about his credentials. We're going to talk about him. We're going to introduce you to him. And we're going to talk about what needs to happen in this country, good governance, et cetera, et cetera. What do we need to do to move this country forward? All right. And so, ladies and gentlemen, tonight we are going to talk to our Shadow Minister of Finance, because in our organization, we're not interested in the Prime Minister being the Minister of Finance. In England, that doesn't happen. The one spending the money shouldn't be the one accounting for the money. All right. So we're gonna have a shadow minister. We're gonna have a Minister of Finance in the New Bahamas that's different from the Prime Minister. In fact, in our organization, in the Coalition of Independence, the leaders aren't even on the bank account. We don't touch money. We don't have anything to do with the money in this organization. Myself and Maria Daxon, we're not even on the bank account. We don't go near the money and we don't touch the money. And we have accounting every month to all of our members. And so we're doing it different from now because we're going to show you that we're running a different regime. This country is going to be run like a business. This is going to be run like a well-oiled business. And we're going to be in surpluses instead of in debt constantly. And so we're going to look at all of this today. We're going to have a nice conversation. Make sure you're here. And we're going to allow your call. Someone said the volume is low. I don't know why it would be low. So I can turn it up. Maybe that would turn it up. I don't know. So there's one person said the volume low. Maybe you might need to go out and come back in. All right. So thank you all for joining us. We're going to have a quick commercial break. And when we come back, ladies and gentlemen, we are going to have a conversation with our Shadow Minister of Finance. I'm going to introduce him.
Yeah. Come down, DJ, and do your thing.
Prophet in the house.
Hey.
Yeah,
Prophet on the scene.
Yep.
Hey. This is going out to all beings all around this world. Hey. Whoa. Let my people go. This is going out to all beings all around this world. Hey. I want the PLP to let my people go. Whoa. I'm just sitting down right here, waiting on that old bell to ring. I'm just sitting down right here, waiting on that old bell to ring. PLP go ring the bell. Watch the PLP go to L. Brave, go and ring the bell. Watch the PLP go to L. Yo, 50 years and nothing not changed. The people living in poverty. And every day murder in this country. And PLP them not do a thing. Them give the foreigners everything. Them only taking over our damn land and country. Look what them do to Miss Curry and take over her land and thing. And Brave Davis him not do a thing. Him let the immigrants take over everything. I don't have fish fry man, them own everything. We got to bring change in this country, yo. I'm just sitting down right here, waiting on that old bell to ring. I'm just sitting down right here, waiting on that old bell to ring. PLP go ring the bell. Watch the PLP go to L. Brave go and ring the bell. And watch the PLP go to L. Yo, hey, Marvin James, tell me the truth. What happened to the throne, their money? And the PLP MP them mix up in a kadama problem. And some of them hitch up in the courthouse again for raping people, children. Yo, I'm just sitting down right here, waiting on the whole bell to ring. I'm just sitting down right here, waiting on the old bell to ring. Brave go and ring the bell. Watch the PLP go to L. Go and ring the bell. Watch the PLP go to L. Yo, I'm just living in this little country, and crime is out of control. Every night you hear another one die. Lord, I got me up because Jesus Christ. Me want the people in this country. I'm giving my vote to Lincoln Bain. Yo, I'm just sitting down right here, waiting on the old bell to ring. I'm just sitting down right here. Go ring the bell and watch the PLP go to L. Brave go and ring the bell. And watch the PLP go to L. COI. Look how we take our carbon credit money. Yeah.
The coalition.
Yeah, man.
Ladies and gentlemen, that is the prophet. That is the prophet, all the way from Grand Bahama. They're actually going in studio with that one now, and they're going to do a studio cut of that. The party funded that to go in studio, so we could have a studio version of that. It was very entertaining, and we loved it. For all of you who attended the rally, listen, it was phenomenal. It was something to see. It really changed the game. I'll just say to all of you that since that rally, we have been getting calls from staunch PLPs and FNMs from across this country. Andres, Long Island, Grand Bahama, Exuma, all over this country, New Providence, and they have been saying that they are on board. They are with the COI, all right? They are with the COI, and they want something different. They're tired of the same old. And so, welcome welcome on board to all of you who are part of the Exodus. There's a grand Exodus happening. There's an exodus of people exiting the PLP and FNM. An exodus is taking place where we are leaving slavery. We are leaving out of Egypt. And those people who have oppressed us for all these years and lied to us for all these years and kept us down for all these years while pretending to love us. There's an exodus happening. And we are leaving the PLP and FNM. And we are moving on to a new Bahamas. And so thank you all for being a part of that. So I just want to quickly read this poem on finance before I introduce him. You'll remember that lovely young lady who's actually his daughter read this poem at the rally. I want to read this to you again because this is serious in our country. And it goes, in the heart of the sea, beneath the bright sun, lies a nation in death. Bahamas undone. A government caught in a financial mire, fanned by corruption, fueled by its own fire. Public procurement, a theater of the sea, where cronies lurk and power elite meet, feeding their desires, their pockets lined with gold, while the common man pays the price as he is told. Rising debt to GDP, a grim tale to unfold, a failing economy, future stories untold. VAT was introduced, a plan to curb the debt. But alas, the debt was sought, the debt has sought a growing threat yet. New taxes they decree with no reprieve in sight. On Facebook, Airbnb, in the day and in the night. The National Insurance Board is shadow its past, mismanaged funds, benefits dwindling fast. And where is the Freedom of Information Act? Yet another promise lost in the abstract. Transparent governance, a distant, fading star. Their actions in the shadows, truth kept afar. It's time for a change, for a new path to chart, a government to invest, to show wisdom, to be smart, revenue-making ventures instead of borrowing more, to pay off debts to even the score. Farmers, your beauty remains in spite of the storm. Your people resilient, their spirits warm. May a new dawn rise where corruption has no room, and your government serves, not leads to doom. The aroma of change is in the air, because change is not coming. Change is here. Ladies and gentlemen, I present to you a talented new Bahamian, a Bahamian who is ready to see change in this country, who stepped forward because he's ready to see change in his new nation. His CV highlights include that he's a certified public accountant from 2002, the Bahamas Cooperative League of Insurance Brokers Limited. He was a financial controller. Fidelity Merchant Bank and Trust. He was a group accountant. James Gomez and Co. was the auditor there. He serves in management at National Plumbing and Building Supplies, which is the family business. What blew my mind is that he actually left the Bahamas Cooperative League and Insurance Brokerage to go do other things, and then went back. And you know, in the Bahamas, when you leave a job in this country, you're not going to come back unless you are especially talented and loved and respected. And so that was a very interesting part of his resume. Ladies and gentlemen, I present to you a young man. I present to you. The video is very choppy. Okay, messing with the live. Hold on, let me just make let me do one little commercial break. I'll be right back.
Exuma.
There's a brown girl in the ring, tra la 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 la. Brown girl in the ring, tra la 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 la. Brown girl in the ring, tra la 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 la. She looks like the sugar in the plum, plum plum. Show me your motion, tra la 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 la. Show me your motion, tra la 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 la. Show me your motion, tra la 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 la. You look like the sugar in the plum, plum plum. Sweet like the honey pie, yeah. You and your big brown eyes. You're sweet like the honey pie. You and your big brown eyes. Bang bang bang, it's okay. 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 Brown.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, I am back. You can let me know how the sound is now. Let me know how the sound is before we go on. I hope you were able to hear that introduction. The sound was scrambled from I read the poem. And so I will read this introduction again. Okay, they said the sound is better. Awesome. All right, so I'll read the CV highlights again. I won't go back to the poem again. He's a certified public accountant since 2002. The Bahamas Cooperative League of Insurance Brokers Limited. He was their financial controller. In fact, he left and went on to do some other things and came back. And like I was saying earlier, when you leave the job in this country, you know they don't let you back. They let you back is because they respect you very highly. Fidelity Merchant Bank and Trust Group Accountant, he was a group accountant. James Gomez and Co, he was their auditor. And he is in management at National Plumbing and Building Supplies, which is a family business. All right. And so, ladies and gentlemen, if all of these institutions can trust him to control their finances, I think our country can trust. Sound is scrambled again. I need to start again. Sound is choppy. Okay, let me change the device the sound is coming from, and then let's see how that works. All right, so just give me 1 sec. Someone says it's even worse now. Okay, give me 1 sec. I'll change the device the sound is coming from, and then we'll see what happens.
Brown girl in the ring, la 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 la. Brown girl in the ring, la 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 la. She looked like the sugar in the plum. Plum plum. Show me your lover, la 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 la. Show me your lover, la 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 la. Show me your lover, la 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 la. She looked like the sugar in the plum. Plum plum. Blue hill water dry. Nowhere to wash my clothes. Blue hill water dry. Nowhere to wash my clothes. I remember one Saturday night, John Henry, fried fish and Johnny cake. I remember one Saturday night, fried fish and Johnny cake. Bang bang bang, it's okay. Bang bang bang, it's okay. Bang.
All right, ladies and gentlemen. Oops. All right, so we are live again. Please let me know how the sound is now. Let me know how the sound is now. The sound should be better now. We're hoping that the sound is better now. Let us know how the sound is. Please respond and tell us. Seems like, oh, someone says the sound is better. Okay, perfect. So, okay, the sound is better. Okay, good. It's okay now. Okay, perfect. So there's an echo, and we can hear you clear. All right. All right. Good into the studio. All right, perfect. So, ladies and gentlemen, I'm not going to read your CV again. I hope you were able to hear it. But we did it a couple of times trying to get this sound together. But it seems like it's good now. So, ladies and gentlemen, I present to you a man who many institutions has trusted to run their finance. And so we definitely can trust him to run our country's finance. And so I present to you Mr. William Knowles. Welcome. Thank you. Good evening. Good evening, everyone. Good evening. Listen, a lot of people, I got a lot of response from a lot of people who love the shadow ministers that we presented. You were one of them that we loved. They loved your charm. They loved your professionalism. They're impressed with you and others. But I want to start with William. Who are you?
Well, that's a good question. Well, first of all, I was born here, and my father is from Long Island, the Knowles.
I need to put you in charge of immigration.
My mother, she was a Cumberbatch, so they're from the Wolf Road area, Cumberbatch Alley. They were into farming and different things like that. So, so that's my parents.
So you're an organic baby.
Organic, yes, yes. Born here and raised here all my life. Love this country. Even in college, when I had the option to go off, I decided to stay here and go to the college in Bahamas to do my bachelor's in accounting. I I just a homeboy. I just love being home, you know. So went to NCA, Nassau Christian Academy as a young boy, and like I said, studied accounting at COB. Went off to do my CPA exam, and then got into public accounting. Went to be with James Gomez. And not only did the Bahamas Public League accept me back, James Gomez accepted me back as well. So there's two places I didn't put in my...
Two places you left to do something else and they let you come back.
And they welcomed me and they wanted me to stay, but so yeah, I have a good relationship with all my past lawyers. I am currently a pastor, one of the elders at our church. I'm a family man. As you may have said, persons may have heard it in the CV, but I am managing, assisting with family business. I love the Lord. I seek to lift up a standard of holiness and righteousness and justice. And yeah, that's pretty much me in a nutshell.
So you are a regular Bahamian who had no interest in politics.
Well, that's correct. That's correct. I had no interest in politics. I didn't even like politics. I frown politics. You know, it's just seemed to be a dirty business, and it was never crossed my mind that to enter the political arena.
So how did you get here?
That's a good question, again. I guess what catapulted it was back in February when my wife and mother-in-law were unjustly arrested and abused and put into a cell for 3 days, and it kind of opened my eyes.
So your wife and the mother-in-law were arrested on Goodman's Bay?
Yes.
During CARICOM?
Yes. So that was a nightmare for me and my children.
Wow.
And you know, it opened up my eyes to see the level of abuse of authority and corruption in this nation that I've never seen or believed before. And it helped me to realize that this country is a much worse state than I thought it was. And I got introduced to some of the members of the COI through the encounter, the prison encounter, something like that. Got to find out that you know, some of the principles that the COI stood for, and they threw out the option. Someone threw out the option. You know, would you be a part of our organization? And I, of course, being a Christian and not something I really wanted to do, I went to the Lord in prayer, fasting, and I asked His direction, and He led me to move forward. All right, and that is kind of how I got here. And I'm really serious about my faith, and I'm serious about serving the Lord. And I don't generally hear a wonderful voice from the Lord, but I heard one basically that says to move forward. Wow. So that was confirmation for me, along with other things that I wouldn't go into, but that was one of the final things that made me believe that the Lord wanted me to do something else outside the church, outside of the confines of the church building, and that He was indeed calling me to do something for the country. And that is how I got here today. Wow. In a nutshell.
Wow. I always advise people that you could be doing a work for God that has nothing to do with religion, because Joseph was just that. He was considered one of the founding fathers. So important that they took his bones with him when they had the exodus from Egypt. And he never did anything religious. He didn't build any temples or churches. He didn't preach any sermons. He almost never even mentioned God. But he was doing that work specifically for God. And it was to go and be in government and influence government, and to bring his ideas to government. Even the tax rules that we have now and the tax system that we have, it came from him. All right. And so he was doing something for God, but that doesn't do with religion. A lot of people don't realize that. They think, doing the will is actually just going to church and being an usher and that kind of stuff. But back to politics. You are a professional. Your wife is a professional, entrepreneur, businessman, separate from your family business. She's an entrepreneur. So is your mother-in-law. Because a lot of people think that, people attracted to the COI are a bunch of rebel rousers. Are you a rebel rouser?
No, not even close. The law-abiding citizen, try to keep the peace as much as I can. Try to follow the rules as much as I can. But the abuse of authority in this nation is troubling, and the corruption, what I've been exposed to, is troubling. So, as a believer, I always prayed for righteous leaders, and came to realize that we cannot pray for righteous leaders to want righteousness if they're not pursuing God, or they're not interested in righteousness.
Yeah.
So I believe that when I was praying for righteousness, for righteous leaders to rise up, God said, "Okay, I choose you. So how would you get on?"
Exactly.
So that is my conviction. Sometimes, yes, we are supposed to pray for righteous leaders, but sometimes we have to be the ones to stand up.
And the reason I chose you is because of those same words that you said, that that's what inspired you. You decided to be the change that we need to see, and that you are a good person with a good reputation. And I'm going to say this to you publicly, and we're going to have this to be able to come back with. If at any time our government is going awry or doing wrong, or giving out those secret contracts, or anyone in our government is stealing or acting inappropriately, I expect for you to deal with that.
Yes,
I don't care if it's me. I don't care if it's our vice president. I don't care who it is. I expect you to pull us in privately and say, "Listen, this is not how this is supposed to be. I didn't sign up for this. We need to operate properly like we promised the Bahamian people we would." I'm putting the pressure on you. That's your job.
Yeah.
That's why the Minister of Finance is not me.
Sure.
And if we don't do as you say, and get things in order, and because if there's any corruption you see and we don't get it in order, then I expect you to go public and tell the whole Bahamas they're doing foolishness. You can take that challenge.
I take that in my prayer, fasting. God should give me a passion or a desire for righteous and just stuff, because that's what He desires. He wants a government, and not going into too much details, but He shared His heart with me that He wants this country, this nation of Bahamas, to be a government of righteousness and justice. And that's what I believe that my part is to play in this.
Well, I expect you to keep the entire government and organization in line. Make sure not a cent is missing or out of place. Make sure we account to the Bahamian people regularly, just how we're supposed to. There's no secrets from the Bahamian people, and everything is kept in order. That is what I expect.
Yeah.
All right. And so that's why I put you in that position. And so it's a strong position, because I am tired of governments coming to power and they come and they say what they're going to do for the people, et cetera, et cetera. And then when they come in, all they're doing is giving themselves contracts and crooked deals and giving contracts to their finances and this kind of stuff. No, nothing in the bounds. All right. We are going in, and I expect you to help me lock up any member of parliament in our organization that is doing foolishness.
Yeah.
I'm talking to you in front of all my supporters. That's what I expect.
I accept the responsibility.
All right. We approach them like the Bible says you should do. We approach them.
Yeah.
One-on-one. We give them a chance to get it right. And then we do what we have to do. Because we will be the first government to lock up a sitting MP. So first. All right. So just wanted to put some pressure on you as we start. But that's your job.
Yeah.
All right. And that also is to keep the leader in check.
Yes.
Persons who are part of our organization will tell you that I am submissive to my organization, to my executives, and to our persons. I have been in the Navy on the side. We understand. We don't understand. Right? So I hope that it's disturbing.
Bang, 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 that's okay. Oh, sweet Nancy. Oh, sweet Nancy. Oh, sweet Nancy. Oh, sweet Nancy. Brown girl in the ring. Tra la 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 la. Brown girl in the ring. Tra la 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 la. Brown girl in the ring. Tra la la la.
Okay. So hopefully the sound is back. Y'all please let me know that the sound is back. Let me know if the sound is back. Let me know if the sound is back. This volume is low. Okay, let's see if sound is now. Let me know. Is the sound back? Okay, perfect. All right, good. All right, so we want accountability. We want to deliver what we promise. And I'm going to say this to you. Victory for us is not winning the election. Victory is when we deliver what we promise to the Bahamian people. When they get the benefits from their sovereign wealth fund, that's when we can take a break.
Yes, I agree.
And Lord God is on you.
Yeah. Yeah, I know it's not easy, but I believe that we have the resources, and I believe that God wants us to utilize the resources that He has given to us. And I think He wants us, the people, to benefit from them, and not just a select few.
Yeah. All right. Perfect. All right. So, ladies and gentlemen, we're gonna have a discussion tonight about a couple of things, one at a time. I think the first thing we're gonna talk about is NIV. We need to talk about VAT and what's happened with our VAT, et cetera, et cetera. And this discussion that we're gonna have. And Bill, they call him Bill or Billy, even though his name is William. All right. And so Billy is going to be able to raise issues he wants to too. First of all, I want to talk about national insurance because they're saying that national insurance is failing. I know that doesn't come specifically under the Ministry of Finance, but all finance in the country really is under the purview of the Minister of Finance. I don't understand how NIB could be failing because we collect so much money as it relates to National Insurance Board. And so what I want to do is pull up some numbers for the Bahamian people so they can actually see the numbers up to the last time they gave numbers, because they stopped. I guess when some stuff started happening, they stopped. And so I'm going to share the screen so that people can actually see these numbers. All right. Give me a second. Let me share the screen for y'all. All right. Because one thing we do is we share numbers. All right. And so this is the numbers of NID. This is how much money they were making when they last reported. And this is up to 2006. But this report was done in 2009. But this is up to 2006. And I want you to look at the trend. All right. And as an accountant, we can discuss this. But the trend was that we were supposed to be in the right direction. And I don't understand how we went in a different direction. So I'll start from 2002, income. The income here that you're looking at, it's, I'll expand it for you. Income from 2002 was a total of 189 million. Then it raised to 194 million. And the next year was 195 million. This is in millions, all right? So even though it looks like 100,000, it's millions. 210 million in 2005. Then in 2006, about a quarter billion, 225 billion, all right? That's the income. And so some of the income is from contribution, which is 121 million. And then in the beginning, so the last, after 2006, it was like 150 million that was from contributions. Investment income in 2006 was 71 million. Other income was 5 million. They don't say what other income is. All right. But so, for example, that's almost $250 million. The expenditure in all of these times, sickness benefit, it's not big money. Sickness benefit, it was around $9 and $10 million. So that's not a lot of money. $9 and $10 million sickness benefit. So you collect 149 million, and you spend about 10 million in sickness benefit. Some good profit. Maternity benefits 6 million. Maternity grant 1 million. Funeral benefits 1 million. I'm looking at 2006 now, the last line. And then sickness assistance 31. What is that? 31,000. And they ain't give much of that. And retirement benefits 57 million. Infidelity benefits 9 million. And 10 million to survivors benefit. Old age assistance 6 million. Invalidity assistance 6 million. Survivor assistance 1 million. Medical care, and as you can see, these are small numbers. So the total benefits is 124 million. I'm looking at 2006 now. And as you can see, all of the years from 2000 to 2006, the total benefits that they paid out was nothing compared to what they collected. So you collected 225 million in 2006, and it was 124 million that you paid out. What's the problem? Administrative expenses is 36 million. So that's all the costs of all the staff and everything. And then 1.4 million here and other expenses. Then a positive here, this expense. So total administrative and other expenses is nothing, 37 million in 2006. So total expenditure here is 162 million. So they had a surplus of 63 million. So every single year from 2002, surplus of 63 million, surplus 63 million, 58 million here, 64 million, and 63 million 2006. And the reserves at that time was 1.4 billion with a B dollars. Mr. Williams, when you look at these numbers, how do you feel?
Well, when you look at the numbers, you see a constant increase in the revenues and a constant increase in the surplus. Or, it doesn't change a whole lot. And you do have a good amount of reserves, at least over 10 years worth of reserves. So you have to wonder what went down from 2006 to now. And I guess one of the biggest problems is the information. The information is freely available to us to really assess and to really know what's going on with NIB. And to be in a place where it's crashing down on us, it's unbelievable. And it does make you wonder what went wrong with NIB.
I don't want this to go over people's heads, what you just said just now, that you had almost a decade worth of reserves. So what does that mean? That means if NIB didn't make another dollar, didn't collect another dollar from 2006 for another decade to 2016, they, based on their reserves, would have been still liquid. Still, all right? Basically, all right? That's theoretically speaking. And so how is it that they did collect revenue and the revenue was always more than they paid out? How all of a sudden they stopped showing us what they paid out? And then all of a sudden it's in problems. This is where sensible Bahamians have some serious issues with NIB. I don't think that the problem with NIB is anything to do with the payouts and the expense of the payouts. All right? And so this again is the years. This is what they projected. This is their projections. So up to, because they're saying that by, I think they're saying by 20 something, I don't remember the exact date is, 2020 something, and then NIB will be broke. All right? Another 5 years, I think they're saying. So I'm going to go on this document up to 2036, because they say another 5 years, the NIB will be broke. So let's look at what their projections actually were. This is the actual projections. So The actual projections here. So they're saying for 2006, 149 million would be made, then it would increase to 160 million. In 2008, it's 168. 2009, 202 million. This is the actual contribution income. This is what people would pay, and then it's the investment income. So in other words, I'll go to the last line. They in 2006 they collected 225, so they projected 235 million for 07, then 250 million, then 311 million, 334 million, and you can see it goes up and up and up till 2036. It would be $664 million that they're collected. All right, and the benefits would here, and you can see the benefits would always be less. All right, it would always be less than what they took in until we reach 2036. But it's an increase and an increase and an increase straight through up to this time. How is it that we can go to a point where you're liquid, always making more than you pay out, and then you flip to a point where you are illiquid? That's disturbing.
That's a good question. I mean, see, from 2016, the surplus of almost 130 million was reduced in 10 years to a deficit of 83 million. So, like, what went down in those 10 years, 2016 to 2026, and then seemingly it's going to get worse in the next 10 years. So it does bring a lot of questions about what is the actuaries looking at? What information do they have to see that, hey, this plane is coming down to crash? And what needs to be done?
What my concern is what me and Maria have been exposing, and that is that our NIB money is not just spent on benefits. It's also spent on building buildings. There's several buildings right now. We need to know if the government is up to date with their rental payments for these buildings. NIB's money built Ministry of National Security, and a lot of buildings. I won't list all of them, but a lot of buildings was built. NIB invested in cable bombs. NIB invested in a lot. NIB invested in quite a few businesses around here. They bailed out Bank of the Bahamas, forming this company called Resolve. I think that is where our money is going. Also, we exposed where NIB was spending money buying derelict buildings. All right, the building for the 10 million that they were using for the building next to Goodman's Bay, that was supposed to be the house of the Prime Minister. That's $10 million they took on that building. Go and look at that. All right, they're caught now with Mr. Arena, whose family owns that actually owns that. That's why they never could actually build it. They won't tell you that. They didn't tell you that, but it's actually in court right now. And how could they be doing things like this? This is the problem. They keep making it seem like, oh, you're paying out more than you're bringing in. No. You all are spending. You all are using that money as a piggy bank. NIB has become a Ponzi scheme.
Yeah, it seems like capital investments is an issue, and it screams something sort of Russian. I know inside the credit union movement, central bank had very strict limitations on properties, investment properties for the credit union system because of that. So there should be in the policies very strict limitations on buildings and these type of commercial investments that could very well do sell. And that seems to could have been part of this equation.
And so I think that's the problem with NIB. And I think that this is something that we have to pull in. But I just want Bahamians to know that NIB is not going to be for Bahamians. I mean, how can you depend on the NIB for pension? I didn't hear you no more. You're going to benefit from your natural resources. But we're going to have more of our discussion later. I also want to talk about VAT. What's your observation in terms of VAT? You know why it was brought out. You know why they invented VAT. not invented, but why they established bad environments. They said it was to pay off the debt. The debt has now increased to about the same amount that is owed in VAT or was collected for VAT. What was that?
Yeah, VAT was sold to the people as a way to pay down debt and a way to expand the tax base. So it's supposed to be spread out, but it seems like it's not helping the I guess middle class and lower class individuals, because it's hitting a lot of the consumable items and whatnot, bread basket items and all that stuff. So what's supposed to be easier burden on the people, because you're spreading it or you're spreading the tax base, seem to have not benefited us in any way except increased cost of living and inflation and increased debt and all this kind of stuff. And it didn't do what it was sold to the Bahamian people to do. And looking at the financial statements at the government website, as I was reviewing them, I really questioned what is the line item expense line for corruption. I really wondered in my mind, if we had to quantify corruption in this financial statement, what would be the percentage? And I think a lot of it seems to be pointing that although you increase taxes or spread the base, it just makes more way for certain governments to benefit personally from it through corrupted means. You see, so that has not had the effect that they were selling us, telling us that it would have, and people are hurting more and more. So, as you have mentioned, we need to make that shift from being so tax dependent and benefiting from our natural resources, not just for the few, but for the people as a whole.
Yeah, I noticed that what a lot of the countries like Dubai, Qatar, Norway, these countries that went from developing nations to developed nations, or AKA third world to first world, they actually accomplished that. And the way they accomplished that was by using their natural resources. But the key wasn't just using their natural resources, because other countries use their natural resources and they have not, they've not had this effect that they have had, that these countries have had. Right? I'll give you a quick example. Norway found oil around the same time that England found oil. England spent all of their oil money. They squandered all of their oil money, and it was gone. Norway was a little bit different. Norway used the money to empower their people. All right, they didn't give out checks, but they gave you all kind of different benefits that were equivalent to getting, big checks. And because they empowered their people started to invest more because they had a cushion to fall back on. They started to, all of the great ideas that needed to come. We sit back waiting for politicians to have good ideas. No. In the New Bahamas, as much great ideas as we have as an organization, the real good ideas is going to come from the people. And we're going to put the people in a position that they can have a cushion that in case they fail, because the majority of businesses fail, in case they fail, they have a cushion to fall back. You see? And that's the difference in how they were able to do it. Their people actually built the economy. They started investing, not just us depending on foreign investment, et cetera, et cetera. So what do you think about their model and how we could implement that in the Bahamas of empowering our people?
Well, definitely I agree with the philosophy of empowering the people and not keeping the wealth to a select few and for the government to manage, but empowering the people to invest in the nation so they can feel they have a part of interest in this nation, and it just, I think it'll do more than even just financially, but even just give people a sense of pride to be empowered to do these kind of things, and not having to wait on the government for a government job and have a handle, but really empowering people to to do what they are gifted in. So definitely that would be that's one of the motivations that I have for being a part of this organization. It's about spreading the wealth to the people, empowering the people. Because we have a lot of knowledgeable, wise, and gifted people inside this nation. And of course, like you said, our party isn't, people in government don't have all the great ideas, but a lot of, I guess, politicians may be afraid to accept ideas from the people. They feel that they're empowering the people when they take their ideas, and I guess many may take it for their own benefit. But we're here to provide a platform for the Bahamian people to thrive. That's exactly what I think we should be focused on.
Yeah, and so what a lot of these countries did was that they formed companies that were owned by the people, but managed privately. And so Dubai, for example, went hard into tourism. Qatar went hard into real estate around the world. They own more real estate in England now than the Queen, and around the world, all over. I think they own the whole stadium in England. I think they own one in Brazil also, but they own a lot of things, and so they've been constantly investing. I think we have to take on that same model of forming these private companies, because we need more revenue.
Definitely.
Obviously, the problem with our country is we keep going into debt to pay for more revenue, and that absolutely makes zero sense.
Right.
If our revenue, and I'm looking at some numbers, total tax revenue. Let me share the screen for y'all, so y'all can see this. This is the OECD. Because they have more information than our government gives us. Our government gives them information, but don't give it to us. So this is the OECD, that always blacklisting us and stuff. Yeah. And so this is the revenue, total tax revenue from 1990 to 2021. And so the total tax revenue in 2021 was 1.8 billion. In 2020, it was 2 billion. In 2019, it was 2.4 billion. So we're around that, now in recent times, 2 billion area. Obviously, that isn't enough.
Right.
And I don't know how no one in government has thought that they should find a way to get more revenue. So all they do is borrow every year, increase our debt. And so there's no hope in sight for what the PLP and FM has been doing. There's no hope in sight. There's no way for us to get more revenue based on letting foreign investors come in, create all the revenue, make all the money, and take it out of the country. Right. A parasitic economy. What do you have to say about this?
Yeah, well, definitely when you look at borrowing to stay afloat, borrowing comes with a high cost of interest, and there's only really two ways, either to finance anything really, either through debt or through ownership, right? So definitely we would want to try and get away from borrowing because of the high cost of interest. And then also another aspect of it, I think when we tie ourselves to different organizations with owing them monies, we tie to their philosophy and ideas, and they have a chain on us as well. Like says, if you owe someone, you're in debt to them, they're slave to them. And the things that we want to stand for in our country, we have to be careful what we do and what we can't do, because we owe money is that we scared to be blacklisted, we scared to our interest rates increase because we pretty much in debt to the international organizations. So definitely we need to increase our revenues, also to cut back on our expenditures as best as we can. I think putting the proper governance and the policies in place to cut back on corruption, like I said, the cost of corruption line item, to eliminate that and or reduce that as much as possible, and to tighten our belts as a nation and focus on the people.
I found something shocking.
You know, the government always pretends that it doesn't have any money, but then they will find money to do things out of the blue. And you'll be like, where did this money come from all of a sudden? Why are you talking about this? Where did this come from? And that's disturbing to sensible behaviors. Like right now, the Prime Minister just announced that he is going to spend $80 million to mitigate climate change. 80 million. Now bear in mind, being in a hospital.
Right. Yeah, like I said earlier, the priority is, I think, on where it should be. You know, and we have money, and we try and come up with money, or we try to borrow for things that doesn't really seem to benefit the Bahamian people for the majority. But when they have these projects they want to do, they can find money. That's a lot of money. And there's a lot of people who are hurting in this country, and you know, we need to prioritize our people first.
So let me show you the hypocrisy in this government, this administration. They are all about talking about climate change. They're talking about climate change all over the place, and you know, singing the praise of climate change and saying that we are ambassadors for climate change, and that's all. Philip Brave Davis has been talking about since he's been in power, and I mean, that is like, okay, that sounds good, but there's something wrong here. There's something seriously wrong here. Let me just show this screenshot. If we are so concerned about climate change, how in the world would our new patrol vehicles be trucks? 100 new trucks. If you're worried about climate change and your patrols use a lot of gas and put a lot of emissions in the air, how in the world could you buy 100 trucks?
Yeah, it seems like the government, you know, it seems like a hidden agenda. They actually, you know, spend this $80 million on climate change. It seems like a trade-off, which we wouldn't see the results of it until later on. But it doesn't, you know, like you said, the hypocrisy, it just doesn't add up. So you have to wonder exactly why. You know, why they do the things that they do, right?
I can't figure them out, and I have no intention to try to figure them out. I just need them gone. There's something else I want you to take note of with this article right here. I'm sharing this screen so you can see this. I want to put up the calculator for you. They are saying that they bought 100 trucks for just under $2 million. Right? Let's see. 2 million divided by 100. I see what that is. I don't know, you're the accountant.
Yeah.
Maybe on Sesame Street, but can you tell me where I can get a truck, a brand new truck, outfitted with all that police stuff for $20,000?
So eBay special.
They had to bought that on eBay.
Yeah.
In fact, that's 19,000, just under 2 million.
Yeah, you know.
The numbers don't add up.
You just can't find the numbers actually. So,
yeah.
you know,
You got
a brand new vehicle, a truck for that matter. It doesn't sound right. Yeah.
Someone got some deal somewhere. Just looks like some, to me, I just saying based on the fact that they're not telling you who they got it from, what the real deal was, if you don't have Freedom of Information Act. They had to have gotten some deal because no one in their right mind would say we're going to buy trucks for our police to patrol in. Trucks to patrol in? I saw one of them almost run off the road. They lost balance. They were speeding and they almost ran into the car in front of me. Just recently, I wish I had camera rolling. And they tried to swerve and they lost control because the balance is so, you got to do police chases in trucks. Like seriously?
That doesn't make much sense to me. The higher the vehicle, the tipping point increases significantly. So that it doesn't really make much sense in my mind.
I don't know, make sense in anybody's mind. I don't know. But that doesn't make any sense. But here we are, all right? And so the VAT money, we need to stop. We're worried about where the VAT money is going. Let me tell you where it's going. That's stolen. That's stolen goods. That's gone. We're gonna have to go and retrieve that. We're gonna have a commission inquiry immediately. We're gonna have to jail some of these people for what has really been going on. We have to. We have to, because they're not really accounting. You notice how Brave Davis, while he was opposition leader, was calling for commission of inquiries reference to the spending during Dory and the spending during the pandemic, etc. But he came in and he is not giving account.
Right.
It's like they just work together.
Yeah. So I don't think transparency and accountability is a priority in the current administration or previous administration. And if you are supposed to be stewards of the people's funds, you should be able to give account to your bosses, right? So,
yeah. This government has not been forthcoming as relates to procurement. We are hearing voice notes every day on social media where persons are admitting that persons are going around and just shopping for contracts, just going to ministries, just getting contracts, sitting down in the chair and just getting contracts. No bidding process, nothing. They just issuing contracts to certain supporters. The supporters have been arguing with each other. There's no police investigation. This can't be right, man.
yeah. You can't just keep it to a few. You have to be transparent and all our dealings and make sure that any work that needs to be done needs to be properly vetted and go through particular protocols and whatnot, and the Bahamian people will benefit. Right? So, whether you use PLP, FNM, COI, whatever it is, we're Bahamian, and when we become the government, right? Once you're Bahamian, you will be considered. Once you qualified and go through proper steps, we have to look at the people as a whole.
Yeah, so let's dig in a little bit more to this thing about us now going into business to make revenue as a country, where all of the benefits will go to the sovereign wealth fund. All right, and the money in the sovereign wealth fund will be traded. All right, so you won't, if we make $20 billion, for example, from our natural resources, and from whatever revenue we make from going in business, we won't share the $20 billion to the Bahamian people. That money will be traded, it will be multiplied, and we will get shares from the surplus. All right, so the principal will never be touched. That will be there for our future generations. This is Norway's model, and a lot of other countries' model. And so we will never touch that principal. All right, and we will trade it responsibly. Only up to 3 to 4% can be at risk at any one time. And so this again is the model of Norway, etc. And so we are going to go into business. This is going to take business plans, etc. Before election, we want to start presenting business plans to the Bahamian people to let them see that, okay, we say we're going into the cruise ship business. Here are the numbers. Right. We say we're going into the shipping business. Here are the numbers. You ready for that?
Yeah, definitely. Before we go to anything, you have to look at the numbers and have those prepared and have realistic expectations and realistic numbers and be upfront with the people. And as you said earlier about the investing, the returns, and then keeping a certain amount. It's very common in the financial sector where only after you reach a certain amount of capital or reserves, anything after that you can pay out as a dividend. So that's just protecting the funds and being diligent with the resources. So like you said, you can't pay out everything when it comes in. You just can't pay it out. You have to invest and reserve the funds for future generations, for down periods and things like that. So,
Well, the good part is you're not the only accountant that is supporting and a part of the COI team, but we're going to start showing people the numbers. We need to start showing them that this is real, presenting them, business plans for different things, because we're serious. We're ready for this from day one. And we got to go to people showing them this is the new Bahamas. This is what can happen. All right. And so that's what this is about. Yeah. I want to talk a little bit about good governance. And the things that we want to put in place, because we want to take power away from the politicians, first from the Prime Minister and all the members of Parliament. We want to take power away from them, all right, including the Attorney General. We're going to change that system and have a real DTP that is separate and apart. The Attorney General should not have to be sitting in cabinet with his colleagues that he can't touch because they're his colleagues.
right.
The person who is responsible for being the Attorney General should be someone who's independent and can lock up the president once they do the impeachment process.
Right.
An independent person. We gotta have accountability, and we gotta put all this in the Constitution so that later, if the Baymans be fool enough to go back to PLPF and them, they can't just change that. You can have a real person in power. But I want to talk about our good governance and some of what we want to do. Because again, the reason I put you there is because I believe that you are just an honorable man, and you're gonna be honest, and you're gonna keep us honest, because you ain't gonna help nobody.
No.
All right. So for our good governance plan, we want to have island states. We've heard the plan for island states. How do you feel about this whole process?
Yeah, I mean, I did not join the COI for power. I did not join to increase power or authority, and even in my the church and my workplace, my purpose is to try and empower those around me and try to push. Some people like to build up authority and build up power, and everything got to be focused. But my philosophy is the opposite. My philosophy is, okay, let me teach you certain things. Let me allow you the space to grow and to exercise your authority. So I would totally support and agree with that. The island states to be able to manage their own affairs at a certain level and utilize the resources that they have. And like I said, my philosophy is not trying to pull power centrally, to one central location, but to disperse it so we can function in a more efficient manner.
Now, I want you to know that, I'll get back to that stage, but I want you to know that when we get the power, you're going to be responsible for auditing a lot of what has been going on. You're going to be tasked, well, of course, you're not going to do it yourself, it'll be teams, responsibility, but you're going to be tasked with finding where the bad money gone, finding who's been stealing the contracts, and looking for corruption. And you may have to cause certain older politicians to get locked up. You ready for that job?
Well, when I first came into my financial controller position, one of the first things I had to do was provide evidence for case.
Wow.
Yeah, I came from auditing, and that was not my task. My task was coming to be a financial controller, and it just happened that things were adding up. And I was so reluctant because there's older guys in the company been around for a long time. I'm a new, fresh, because I became financial controller at 20 or 21. Right? And so I was still young. And I had to try and check those I's and check those T's and check those numbers. But at the end of the day, when I was confident that, something ain't right, I had to go to the bosses. And, as much as I was reluctant to do it because I respected this young man, or older man than me, but still young. And we had to call him force in and get things sorted out. So it's not nobody likes to do that. No one likes to have people arrested and brought for trial or whatever, but that's just something you have to do.
Mhm.
All right, so that's just a part of the job. And I started off my career in auditing, so got used to that by now.
Yeah. And so we have to find the money that they're hiding in Switzerland, that they're hiding in London, that they're hiding all around the world. And we have to use our bilateral tax agreements that we've signed in order to find where this money is and to track them. And so your job with TASK, and we're going to bring in international help if we have to, is going to be to find where the Bahamian people's money is, where they're hiding it, wherever it is, and seize bank accounts, seize assets, etc., in order to bring justice to the Bahamian people. You ready for that?
Let's go ourselves. It's a big task, but I think that's something. God values justice, and I think that's something that's lacking in this country right now, many levels.
Mm-hmm.
Even the perception of justice.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's affecting every walk of life.
Mm-hmm.
And it has people in the frame of mind that this land is not just.
Mm-hmm.
And we have to bring that back.
Mm-hmm.
We have to bring back the sense of perception of justice, and squash as much as we can. The word tip of my tongue. But the corruption and favoritism and stuff like that.
So nepotism, favoritism, and all this kind of stuff. Well, that's our job, and that is your mission if you choose to accept it. All right, this message will self-destruct in 5 seconds.
The first mission possibly yesterday.
And so we can get this done. This is a new generation, and we're going to find everything that belongs to us, and we're going to bring justice. And so there's going to have to be international help that we're going to bring in. We're going to end corruption immediately when we get in. That's very important. For Singapore to thrive, they said that the first thing they had to do was end corruption. It's the same thing in Dubai, Qatar, Norway, etc. There's no corruption in these places because no one wants to mess up with everyone that's benefiting from it. And that's your job to keep us honest, keep us clean, and find out what's going on. It's a big task. You have the most important role. You are our new Minister of Investment and Natural Resources. All right, so I've been in discussion with a businessman who is interested in being the minister of, because I changed the portfolio from investment and tourism, right? Because they only think tourism, why are you tying tourism to investment? Mm-hmm. And we're transforming that to investment and natural resources. Yeah. And so hopefully when we push out our next set of shadow ministers, we can let people know that this is the person who is going to lead us into where we should be investing as a people. Right. Not just bringing in foreign investors, but this is how we should invest to transform our country. I'm looking forward to that. And look forward to working with that person. Of course. And so that's what we're going to do. I want to see if I'm able to open the phone lines as I continue to have this conversation and question you. I want to open the phone lines so people can chime in and say what they want to see. What do you think about that? What do you think about what we just showed you with national insurance? If you have any questions for Mr. William Knowles, I'm going to make an attempt to be able to bring you all in. So let me just do this little quick commercial break, and then we'll see if we can get sound from another device, and then we'll go from there, right? Because we need change, and we need change desperately. All right. So, all right, let's go there.
This may be the best citizenship in the world, and they all have it. Because of this card, they get free land, free education, free weddings, free hospitals, and even a free funeral. It's the citizenship of a country in the Middle East called the United Arab Emirates. This is what life is like for citizens from the Emirate of Dubai. And because the city is so generous, they get the craziest benefits I have ever seen. Are you ready for this? When you are born, your parents pay nothing. Your delivery and checkups for the next 9 months are all free. Then you grow up and you go to school. Local school in Dubai is free! And so are universities, because Dubai will pay for you to get a degree.
I studied at Zayed University and New York University, both for free.
Who's gonna pay for that?
The government.
Then you get married. If you can't afford the wedding, you get $20,000 to throw a wedding. And after marriage, every local Dubai family gets this: free land. Did you get free land?
Yes.
Did you get free land?
Yes.
Did you get free land?
Sure, yes.
And if you cannot afford the home, then you get a grant to build it for free.
I also can't afford building a house. I can get a 0 interest loan on housing.
Zero?
0.
If you need to go to the hospitals are free. And if you need surgery that's not available here, they will fly you to another country to get treatment for free. When you become a senior citizen, you get discounts, many discounts. And if you live alone and can't afford it, Dubai will even send a caretaker to look after you for free. And when you die, well, in Dubai, that's also free. Your funeral will be taken care of, and Dubai will build a full tent with air conditioning within 5 hours of your death next to your home, so your friends can come and say goodbye to you. The point of government is to take care of people. And in Dubai, they take it to the extreme. Imagine if every city, every state, every government in the world did this. We would have a much happier world.
Okay, we are back live. So just let me know how the sound is so we know if we can go with this so we can take calls. Let me know how the sound is, and then we'll get properly set up. Hopefully the sound is good so that we can continue, because we want to take calls from you. All right, is the sound okay? Okay, they say the sound is good. Perfect. So let's see how long that stays good. Awesome. All right. So we can take your calls, and the number is 803-5995. 803-5995. We can take your calls at this time. 803-5995 is the number. So you can call us. I think this is on silent. Let me take it off silent. 803-5995. That's the number. So make sure this is set up. Okay, phone ringing already. Good afternoon, you're live.
Hey, how you doing, Lincoln?
I'm good. How you doing?
I'm doing great. I just had a couple of questions for you, the Shadow Minister of Finance.
Yes.
I am in the marine field, right? And every day I see multiple things that we can make money as payments. I mean, hundreds of millions of dollars. Are we going to be delving into that field in terms of getting finances and stuff for the country?
Do you mean at a national level, or are you talking about helping persons to invest in boats and ships and to access those resources?
Both.
Well, that's something that we could consider. That wasn't, I have not considered that at the national level, but certainly as a part of empowering the people, making sure that they have the right equipment, the vessels, and everything needed to access those revenues from our waters. We would be concerned about protecting the waters from poachers and other persons who are trying to get our resources. Um, but ideally, we'd want to, at least from my point of view, we'd want to empower the people, the Bahamian people, to be able to get into those fields and have the resources they need, rather than the government really getting into that. But we're open for ideas.
And so I'll also add to that. Remember, if you look at Vision 25, if you go and watch that, you will see where we're providing grants in certain areas. And we're also providing partnerships with the government in certain areas. And the purpose of the partnership means that you'll be able to go into this business that the country needs at the time, whether it's in tourism or marine, because remember, our focus is going to be on the sea. That's where our money is. Whatever it is that you'll be able to go into that business, and the Bahamian people will be able to benefit from it. So not just giving money to any kind of crony where only them benefit, but you will have a part ownership. The people will have part ownership because they invested in you, and our portion of it goes to the sovereign wealth fund. And so we're going to have a bunch of business out there that was funded, that all of us can benefit from. And so we as a nation is going to benefit from individuals being empowered.
That sounds great. That sounds great. Exactly what I wanted to hear.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
All right, thank you too. 803-5995 is the number. 803-5995 is the number. And so if you haven't watched Vision 2025, go ahead and watch it. I think you need to upload that again to YouTube so you can because a lot of people don't know where to go to watch it. I'm going to upload that on the Bahamian Evolution page and the Lincoln Bain YouTube page, and also the Bahamian COI YouTube page. And I'll see if I can share it also on Facebook. All right, let's go back to phone lines. Good evening, you're live.
Good night, President Bain. Just two questions I'd like to ask you.
Yes.
Does the Bahamian people own BPL? And if they don't own BPL, can you tell us why not?
Now, this is the trick with what's happening with BPL right now. BPL is the newest robbery that's happening in the Bahamas. So BPL is in the electricity, the sale of electricity business, all right? But the electricity has to be generated. So now some companies have come in and they have bought generators and they are selling electricity to BPL. So instead of BPL generating it themselves and then selling it to you, these companies, and one of them, of course, is Focal, which is, and they have, I think they have about 3 generators. I had a live where I showed you all of their generators that they have there. I think it's 3 or 4 generators they have there. And they're selling electricity to BPL and they're making that free money. And this is why electricity continues to be high, because the PLP and F&M are making money from the sale of electricity. And this is where the problem comes in. And we're going to end that because we're going completely solar. All right? And the carbon credits are going to pay for that. We're getting free electricity generation that we can now sell to our neighbors.
Wow, thank you. I look forward to voting for you and Mr. Knowles. Thank you all for everything, COI. Good night.
Thank you, too. 803-5995, 803-5995. You were telling me a story when we were offline about the incentive you had for being a valedictorian.
Oh, yes. I graduated from NCA as valedictorian, and up until my last year, I was doing pretty good. I was in the top maybe 2 or 3, and my parents knew that I was...
Just hold the line, we'll be right with you. Hold the line.
That I was
one of the candidates. So my father made a deal with me. He said, well, you know, son, if you become a valedictorian, I'll buy you a car, or I'll give you $5,000 to water a car. So I said, Daddy, I don't like speaking in front of people. Imagine that. I don't like speaking in front of people, so I don't want to be valedictorian. He said, I'll write your speech too. So I took that as my incentive, and I won the valedictorian award, and he helped with the speech, but I did the speech, and that was my motivation.
Wow. And we have a jumpstart program for our young people so that when they become 21, that they're going to get a certain, 22, they get a certain benefit. We'll talk about that in a minute. Good evening, you're live.
Yes. Mr. Knowles, my interest is, what are your plans for setting up the budget of the departments of government? Meaning, like, right now, the way it is, I know every department has to send in the preliminary budget concerns, and there are some questionable line items that are normally submitted, as well as for the total balance, there are some personal emoluments that are also embedded in the budget. Can you explain to me, how do you intend to handle that? Will you change that? And if you are, how will you do it? Okay, I'll hang up and listen.
Well, thank you for your call. I was looking at the budget, and as an accountant, it's very confusing to me, right? So it just is not laid out in a clear way. And when I looked at the numbers and I looked at the supporting notes, and it seems like nothing agreed. So definitely a financial statement should be very clear. And if you would have a summary in the front, and just for ease of reference and to see the big picture, but then you should be able to dial in the notes of the financial statements and see all of the details. And that should give you a good, clear picture of what those large amounts, it'll show you the breakdown. So I don't know if the goal is to confuse the people or to hide things, but definitely, as we would have expressed before, our goal is for transparency, and to show you as best as we can where what the money is being used for. So I hope that answers your questions. Generally, the financial statements are prepared by an accounting firm, from what I'm aware of, and they have particular formats, but the goal would be to make it as clear as possible and not to hide anything or deceive the people in any way.
And the purpose of manifestos and politics and of their budget is to funnel money back to their financial contributors and to get money to their cronies as what they've done. And that is why they're so cagey about everything they do, because their entire budget is about that. Brave Davis found almost $17 billion to pay consultants. Who do you think those consultants are? They're cronies that they can give money to without them having to have any business license, without them having to have a contract, where they can give that money. They don't have to really account anything. They can just take that money and give it to who they want to. And so when you look at all of the different line items, $86 million on travel, $80 million on what is this? Climate change initiatives, and all these other things. We have more than enough money if we would have some ingenuity and do things differently. We have more than enough money. One of the things that we're going to do from our natural resources is we are, and if you watch Vision 2035, you'll see a lot of this. When every child is born, an investment is going to be made for them. And so a small amount of money is going to be put up, and that money is going to be invested on their behalf. And by the time as they're 18, that money is going to roll over. And in Vision 2025, we showed you exactly how it's going to roll over year to year based on previous trends of the growth of money traded in the stock exchange. And so when that child becomes 18, a certain amount of money will be there for them. And so every child, this one is ringing, but we're not hearing it. I'm sorry about that. Good evening, you're live.
Yeah, this may saying again in reference to what Mr. Knowles said.
Go ahead.
Part of my job when I used to work with the Ministry of Finance was to work on the country's budget. The way that it was being done is when you do your preliminary submissions to them, the government would then come back to you and tell you you got to cut down on your budget to fit into all of the money that they have. So they will make you chop it up and chop it up. And at the end of the day, you would end up submitting a budget that is totally inadequate, that will not suit your needs, will not allow you to do whatever you have to do. And you will constantly find yourself in a position where the government has to go into the consolidated fund account just to fund vital projects that your ministry is supposed to have. How do you intend to handle that?
I want to help you with that because that's a that's a cabinet control, more than just a Minister of Finance control. You'll remember I am preaching a message of taking power away from the politicians, including the Prime Minister. How are we doing that? We talked about island states, and then we talked about city governance. All right, we're gonna have municipal governments. The government will have a certain budget, but every single district in the Bahamas will have their own budget. And so each district will determine what they do in their community. They're talking now about raising the MP's pay, etc. Let me break this down so I make this clear for you. There's going to be states. Each island is going to be its own states. Each island state is going to be divided into cities or districts, okay? And so we'll take, for example, in Nassau, if you have areas that are next to each other, same kind of socioeconomic status, we're going to make them a city. So, for example, South Beach is similar to Bamboo Town, similar to Pinewood, similar to Jones Heights, similar to Nassau Village. That becomes a city, all right? And so they have a council, and that council also has a mayor who is voted in, and the mayor could be fired, all right, if he don't do his job. And the mayor's responsibility is going to be to do the job that the council voted on. So the council, which consists of people from that community, will determine that we need speed bumps, or that potholes need to fix, or we need to spend money on stop signs, all right? And so now you have someone in the area who has a responsibility to make sure no stop signs missing, to make sure that there are no potholes. It's not the MP's job anymore. It's not just the Ministry of Works' job anymore to deal with that. We have a mayor who's responsible, all right, to make sure that the ministry gets in there and does certain things, and that certain things gets done. And so every single district is going to have a budget, not dependent on government anymore, on central government. All right. Central government will deal with the big general stuff like the police and customs and immigration, education, and the big stuff. But in terms of the governance of the different districts, they will determine what is best for them. And so this is how government is run in the United States, in England, and other places. We are going to have municipal government here too. I'm tired of people saying how they had to go to the MP to put speed bumps through their corner. Had they been to the MP to ask for a stop sign? MP? MP? No. The MP's job is going to be to pass laws in Parliament. That's it. And it's going to switch. All right? And so
I have one more question.
Go ahead.
In regards to that. It could very well be assumed then that the budget for each district or each island will be adequate to cover the line items for that district then, with that money being managed by the governor or whoever you say is going to manage the money. It could be assumed that it will be sufficient, and any of which that may come about, let's say, if a hurricane hits that district or some flooding or something, there will be a fund available that you could draw additional money that is needed for that district then.
Exactly. And the reason we want to do that is because we believe that the strength of America is that there are 50 countries in one, and each state stands on its own. The strength of the European Union is the same. There are several countries that came together to become one for strength. And we believe that if Abaco can keep their money and pay a royalty to the central government, if Abaco can keep their money in Abaco, the majority of their money, and do what they feel needs to be done in Abaco, that their economy would rival Barbados or the Cayman Islands, etc. They would be like countries on their own. The same thing for Andres, the same thing for Grandmama. That would make us greater. The problem is we have a few politicians in Nassau decide what needs to happen on all of these islands, and they don't know the islands. All right?
Yes.
All right.
That sounds like a very good plan, Nathan, because as it stands, local government is really, it's not local government.
No, it's not. They don't have a real budget. It's garbage.
It don't function like it should.
No.
But
No.
your plan
Thank you.
sounds very good plan, man. Okay.
Thank you for your call.
Very much.
All right. Okay, someone was trying to call in just now. Excuse me, 803-5995. 803-5995. I started to say that we are going to invest, for example, you take $20,000 when a child is born, and you invest that money, and a certain amount of money will be available when they become an adult. I'll get to the rest of it in a minute. Good afternoon, you're live. Yes.
I just wanted to know if any building codes will change in terms of, I know the houses are built to the ground, but will they be highly elevated?
Yes, we're going to discuss all of that on Sunday when we talk about urban transformation. So this Sunday we're going to talk about all of that, the building codes and all that kind of stuff, the outside pumps, outside toilets. So there's a lot of things that we're going to talk about on Sunday. All right. So just tune in for that. All right.
All right. One more question for the Minister of Finance, or you, anyone can answer. I know this new Bahamas is going to take a lot. So is there any projected cost for starting, etc.?
When you say starting, you mean starting the new Bahamas?
Yeah.
Most of the things that we're starting is low-hanging fruit. It's stuff that we can do right now. We're going to go into benefit from our natural resources. We're going to make deals with certain countries right away who need our sand and our limestone. We feel that we can make deals with them immediately. We can sell a certain amount of sand to them at a discount. So instead of buying it from Australia for $400 a ton, you can buy it from us for $200 a ton if you guarantee you're going to buy a certain amount. All right. And there are a lot of countries that need this. Limestone, the same thing. And so we're going to do that. One of the things that Dubai did when they found oil was they got a loan on their oil, all right, on the value of it. And that's how they started building their tourism industry, building all those buildings and stuff that people are so amazed with. And so that's really how this works. Now, we already make about $2 billion a year. All we have to do is stop spending money on nonsense, on partying, traveling, all this kind of stuff, and all the garbage they spend money on, and redirect the money to spend wisely. We need to spend money that is going to bring a return immediately so that we can make more revenue. So we're making at least $2 billion a year. This year we're going to make about $3 billion because the economy has grown since COVID. We just got to do a sense with the money. All right. Instead of getting loans to every term, they get loans for $5 billion or so, $4 or $5 billion. Why don't you can't get a loan to buy a fleet of cruise ships? Why can't you then take $1 billion and buy some ships to go into the shipping industry? And so we are going to put forward some numbers and stuff before we go live. And I should have let him, Billy, say this, but we are going to put some numbers for the Bahamian public so they can see the direction that we want to go in. But a lot of the things we want to do and we're proposing, we can do right now without any changes.
Thank you all so much.
All right, thank you. Yeah, you want to answer him anything what he said?
No.
All right. Good evening, you're live. Good evening, you're live. Hello, you live? Okay, I think we lost them. All right. So we started to talk about that. But in order to get this jump start, when the child reaches 22, they are going to have to qualify. They're going to have to, there's certain courses that's going to be added to our school. Everyone's going to be taking the Constitution, Bahamian history, et cetera, et cetera. But I'm not talking about that. There's certain courses that are going to be added, finance, business, and trading, so that we change our mindsets from being servants to being investors, being entrepreneurial minded. Our children, we're going to transform their mindset. And so they have to pass those courses. They also have to get a bachelor's degree to get this jump start. This money is going to be waiting for them. So Dubai, Bahrain, all these countries, they give their kids a jump start. In Dubai, etc., is $100,000. In Bahrain, it's $300,000 when you turn 18. And that's powerful. All right. And so we got a lot of numbers to put together for people. Yeah, a lot of numbers. All right. Yeah. But I think that people realize that it's doable. I don't think you would be here if you didn't think that it was doable. There's some people who are saying, "Oh, we can't benefit. We can't get a check from our natural resources." Why not? We are 200,000 people, about 200,000 adults in our country, about 200,000. All right, and it's starting from when you're 22 and older. All right, your benefit. So that's about 150,000 people that we are assuming. 150,000 people can't get benefits. Come on, the kids won't be getting it because the adults are responsible for the kids. When they get of age, they would get it. So based on the numbers that you've been seeing so far, does this all make sense?
Yeah, it does. It's encouraging, and look forward to really getting into it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, we are definitely going to get into it. I'm gonna end it there for tonight. I'm gonna end it there for tonight. I think we did almost 2 hours tonight. We did almost 2 hours. So this is your first live.
Yeah, my first live.
You did a good job.
Thank you.
You did a good job.
Appreciate it.
Yeah, you know, William Nottage is not a talker. He's a quiet gentleman. You know, he's cerebral. He's a thinker more than anything else. And so he decided to come on here and introduce himself to you and let you know that we are ready to govern this country from day one. We're going to put certain things in place to make sure this country moves forward, and we're going to have honesty and integrity in the new Bahamas. All right, there's so much more I wanted to talk about, but I'm going to leave it there for now. We need a country that we benefit from. We need to stop taxing our people to death. If you all want to keep paying taxes, said vote for PLB and for them. You know, that's a sure way to get more taxes. All right. If you want more taxes, PLB and F&M is the way. If you're tired of taxes and getting taxed to death, then you need to go with the COI. All right? And listen, I want you to stay focused. You know, I told you before the last election, I tell you this election, the PLP is going to try to fund some other third parties in order to split the vote of the third parties. Don't fall for that. They're going to try to fund other third parties and push other persons out there in order to split the vote, in order for people who want to vote for something different, some of them to vote the other way, and it splits the vote. Let's focus. We have a chance of winning this. We have a team that is exceptional. We are ready to govern this country. These are new Bahamians, faces you have never seen before. Nobody ever seen this man. Faces you have never seen before. You know, we put Veronica McIver out there. You know, people have heard of Dr. Veronica McIver, but, you know, they've never seen her in terms of the public light and politics and that kind of stuff. You know, we put Trevor Green out there and, you know, an expert in education. And, you know, people have never seen it. We are presenting to you new Bahamians, all right, who are not politicians, but who are ready to make a change. All right. So like I said, there's so much more I wanted to talk about, but I got to leave it there because we've been rambling on for 2 hours. We're sorry for the technical difficulties. You know what happens. One, they try to to block our feed and not send out notifications and reduce our numbers. And two, they try to interfere with the feed. But that's not stopping us. We're going to keep going and keep doing what we have to do. This is a new Bahamas and a new set of Bahamians. Do you have any last words to Bahamian people?
Well, just that I'm excited to be a part of this organization. My motives for joining is not, as I mentioned before, for wealth or power or anything else, but solely to empower the Bahamian people and to see a better Bahamas and to see a Bahamas that all of us can be proud of. And that's a Bahamas that I envision. I believe it's possible.
Yeah, and I know that it's possible. We've been putting in the work. We've been putting in the research, and that's why we can talk on any area of the new Bahamas from our hearts. Bahamas is coming. Now you have to spread the message. You have to spread the word. How is this going to get out there? You have to talk to your family and friends. There are many persons who still don't know the message. They don't know what's going on. They're not paying attention. They're so busy working to try to make some money. They don't know what's going on. There are many people who still haven't heard about our sovereign wealth fund and natural resources. Don't be shy. Evangelize. You have to talk to your friends and family. You're on the bank line, you have someone complaining, you talk to them about the new Bahamas. You talk to them about how things are going to be different, how things are going to change. Don't be shy. We got to save this nation. If we don't win this election, country finish. This is the last election that we have where we will be the majority. If we let them get back in here, with all this foolishness they're doing now, imagine what they'll do next time, where they're not looking for a third term. They will destroy this country. Ladies and gentlemen, wake up, and wake your family and friends up. We can do this. We're going to win this. I believe in you. That's why I'm standing in the front lines, taking the bullets, taking the attacks, the nasty attacks, taking the assaults, because I believe in the new Bahamas. Putting my life on the line, I'm putting everything on the line. I'm all in because I believe in the new Bahamas. And we're only attracting people who believe in the same thing. Decent people with integrity who wants to see the new Bahamas. Thank you for tuning in. We appreciate you. We leave you with a video that I hope wakes you up, makes you realize that the only thing lacking in this nation is vision and leadership. Thank you.
You know, a lot of people wonder how Dubai became a very big, famous, and rich city.
You see, if you're comparing with Nigeria, listen to this. Nigeria has oil before than Dubai. It's a history. They are more rich than us. They have agriculture, they have mining, they have everything, you name it, they have it. Am I right or wrong? When you have a true leadership, which we have nothing, but we have everything because we have the right leadership. That's the only thing you need, a right leader for your country, not corruption. That's what brings your country at the top. You don't need anything. We want water, we don't have agriculture, we don't have mining.
That's quite interesting.
And that's Sheikh Mohammed. Number one, he doesn't know number two, he needs only number one. He says, I don't know, there's no number two in my book. Only number one.
I hear he doesn't ride in a convoy.
I don't know how you did this in 50 years. You look at history. Who does this? Show me anybody else that has done this in 50 years. I'm waiting. Show them to me. This wasn't done by money. Money doesn't produce visions. Visions produce money. You've had leadership over here that were visionaries, great visionaries, and their vision was more about the people than the money, because you can't accomplish this in 50 years without loving your people first, because the people are the ones that's benefiting from this. Look at your health care. Look at your road system. Look at your highway system. Look at your airports. Who does this in 50 years? But who benefits? You're going to care about those people. It's something to be learned about what's been done over here that could be duplicated in the world, because it's people with this much money. You just don't have people with this much love for their people.
So please don't forget, tell all your friends and family that we're going to be in Abaco next Monday. That's June 19th. We're having a town hall meeting at the high school down there. And so make sure that you are out there if you're in Abaco. That's a central area. And so make sure you're there. That's June 19th. Look at our Facebook, look at our social media pages for more information. All right, that's June 19th. We're going to have a town hall meeting down in Abaco. Thank you. God bless.